Frank Howley, I personally truly love the N64 era of video games. It holds a special place in my heart, and I personally think they never should have stopped releasing games for the N64. Would you agree with that assessment?
I do like how kind of beautiful and weird games back then looked, and nowadays everything is realistic. This looks a little scary, but also a little sexy, a little cool.
Yeah.
I don't want to put my finger on it what exactly it is. But I'm interested in what this game is, Jeremy. What the hell is Pseudoregalia?
Pseudoregalia is a complex thing to explain. I think it's at its core it is a traversal-oriented Metroidvania game. But it's a little more than that. I would say it has shades of the N64 Zelda games, like specifically if you look at the textures and the walls and floors here, they remind me of Ocarina of Time, like Hyrule Castle. But mechanically, it's much more similar to like Mario 64, or maybe even, I might even compare it to something like Banjo-Kazooie, or, any of the action platformers of that era. But it's definitely got more of a precision platformer thing to it. Like, I think it has a little bit of Celeste DNA in there. It feels like a game that is heavily inspired by things like Mario 64, but taking some of the lessons from more contemporary Metroidvanias, things like Hollow Knight and stuff, and also contemporary precision platformers like Celeste. So this is, so the core progression in this game is that right now all I can do is kind of just jump around and do nothing. But as you go, you're going to find these orbs, and each one of these orbs gives you a new ability. Primarily they're related to traversal. This one is a big cross-shaped sword that you hold in like a cool anime way behind you. So now,
I like it. It's called the Dream Breaker. Okay, you can attack stuff.
So now, very, very satisfying 1-2-3 combo too. So you got these breakable walls now. Also, you may not have noticed it because I was speeding through the beginning, but there was one of those walls earlier. So that's kind of the core loop of this game is you go around, you find a cool ability, you solve the puzzles in order to get the ability, and then you loop back and you're like, oh, okay, now I can interface with this area I've been to in a new way. Like, so we've been here, but I walked right by this cracked wall because I couldn't do anything with it before.
Okay, so it seems like it telegraphs it pretty clearly to you. Now, the main thing when I think of like a 3D platformer, I think of N64-inspired games is we remember them fondly, but when you go back and play, a lot of times it's actually janky or some stuff didn't age as well. How does this game play? Is it smooth? Is it tight? Or is it a little wobbly? Or because it seems like you're moving around fine.
Yeah, no, this game is unbelievably smooth. Despite the fact that I just took damage, that's on me. I saw a bunch of people posting about this game and referring to it as a schmovement game, like a smooth movement game is what I assume they're alluding to. It is like a dance. Once you start to accrue a bunch of the more complex traversal moves, it just is like, I was flying all over this game like Jet Set fucking radio. Like I would go through these doors because they black out the new environment. I would just slide through these and fly into the abyss just because I was so excited to explore and just zip all over the screen. It's just, I don't know, yeah, it's just fun to... I imagine even if this didn't have a cool Metroidvania built around it, if this was just a prototype, I would still have a lot of fun just, flying around the screen.
Yeah, moving and the platforming sounds good. You mentioned like exploring. You mentioned the Metroidvania influence. So instead of like an old school 3D platformer of it being stages, are we just in one giant castle, or is this even a castle? Does it take you in other dimensions, or is it just one environment you're constantly learning and getting abilities to explore?
Yeah, it's kind of one giant dungeon. It does have different biomes, and they all have different feels, different theming. Some of them have different enemies. They all have different music, and the music is unbelievable. That's one of the best parts about exploring this game is you're like, oh shit, I get to hear like a new sick track. But yeah, it does feel like one contiguous, is that the word? Contiguous dungeon? One like continuous dungeon, which is, I personally like that. I think this game is better off for having that as opposed to something where you beat World 1-1 and you go to a menu and it takes you to World 1-2 or whatever. I really like the continuous nature of the environments.
Yeah, so it's all self-contained. How's the difficulty? Is this like brutal to get through? Is it easy? Is it just right? Or how have you had experience playing it?
It's actually I would say that there are stretches where you're kind of just getting in your flow. It's not pushing you super hard. It's kind of just letting you have fun with the mechanics. But you can see like that little traversal right there. That wasn't unbelievably complex, but it has these little moments where it really does skill check you. In fact, we're about to see the first boss, and the first time I did this boss, I actually kind of got my ass beat. So we'll see. We'll see how this goes.
All right, we're gonna get skill check, because that's another thing too. When I think of old school games, is like sometimes boss battles can be either brutal, really cheap, or so simple. I'm interested to see if it's like the standard platforming where you bonk him 3 times. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
no, this guy actually has a lot of health too. He also, there's like this animation technique going on where you can see he kind of looks like claymation or something. I think what they're doing is it's like a limited frame rate on the animation or something. I believe. Oh shit. I believe the technique is. Like if you have an animation rig like a skeleton, and then you animate, position 1, position 2, position 3, and then something like Blender will interpolate between the different frames of animation.
Yeah.
I think this is uninterpolated. I think it is like moving in the way that claymation does, where it has very fixed positions that it's moving between, and it's manually assigned each one. So it has this bizarre kind of like Tim Burton-esque thing.
Yeah, it has like weight to it. Like it's, I don't know. I feel like it's like a fighting game too. You can read its abilities, and it is a little intimidating and scary. Yeah.
So I just dropped my sword. He just hit me, and I dropped my sword. So I have to get it back to heal myself now.
This specifically reminds me in what was the Bloodborne PSX? There's a boss battle at the end where you fight, I think, Gaston.
Oh yeah,
it's the same like intimidation, throwback, but also legitimately challenging. Now, wait, so did you do something where you use your magic to like re-heal you, or what is that mechanic on the top?
Yes, I'm doing a bad job at explaining because I'm so caught up in not dying. So you can hold circle. So the meter on the left is like a magic meter. It fills up when you hit hit an enemy. So you'll see when I hit this guy, I get a little bit of magic back. And what that does is. Later it will have other effects, but right now all it can do is essentially you can hold circle to heal yourself. It's kind of like an Estus flask in a Souls game, but you refill it by attacking enemies, which is kind of nice. It actually reminds me a little bit of Bloodborne, where it rewards you being aggressive. Like if you're low health and have no magic, you got to get in there and do some damage in order to save yourself, which is fun.
Yeah, the risk reward's always good.
Yeah.
When it comes to getting abilities, is it just those orbs? I'm always like obsessed asking in any game, is there XP? Is there skill trees? I've been like corroded by the current games these days. But I don't know, like, what other ways of like upgrading? Are there like also different branches or?
Yeah, I think it's primarily the skill orbs that you find around the map, which is I actually like the commitment to that simplicity, because you'll enter a new area, you'll see a skill orb on a ledge way above you. And you'll be like, I don't have the traversal abilities to get there yet, so I need to come back here. So I did a lot of note-taking in my primary. I haven't completed this game, but I'd say I'm like 80% through it. And I have a huge piece of paper covered in notes about like skill. Okay, he's dead. We did it.
Nice.
About, I'll go to a newer environment and I'll see a skill orb. And I'll be like, I can't get that, and just write down, next to giant stone disc, need wall run, ? Not sure. And it's just fun to... some people have been saying that they wish this game had a map, and I empathize because the environments are very big. But it's I don't know. Part of the fun for me is just mentally mapping it and taking notes and figuring out kind of how it all links together.
Yeah, if you can get through an area fast enough and it feels good to move, then it's not annoying.
Yeah.
If it's like slow, then I don't know. You're a goat. I almost said like a rabbit. If you were playing as a turtle, would it be tedious?
Yeah, if this was a turtle-based Metroidvania, I would need a map.
I dig it too, because like when I first saw this game, I don't know, the 2 games that came to mind, one was like Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver. I think the same thing. You're also kind of like playing an interesting looking character, a unique type looking character. I guess all 3D platformers you're playing as an animal or something bizarre. But it also kind of reminds me of Sonic Adventure. Your character kind of looks kind of attractive, like Rouge the Bat. Kind of I don't know. I know Knuckles has gliding. I'm curious of what other movement abilities you can lock in this game.
Yeah, me too. They're actually, you'll see in a minute. There is sort of a glide that is, it's not an inherent ability that the character has, as far as I know. Again, I have not unlocked 100% of the abilities, even in my main save. Although, we're about to get a new ability. Let's see what this is. Indignation. Higher power gives you increased combat capabilities. Okay, so this is the magic meter that you heal with. Now, when that magic meter is full, the range on the attack is bigger and it does more damage, which is cool because it taps into... that same, like, I like games where the systems have multiple things that they impact, and so now you have to do the calculus of, oh, I'm low health, but this enemy is almost dead. Should I stay low health and keep my magic meter high, or should I sacrifice doing damage to, not run the risk of dying or whatever? So it's a very simple game in many ways, but I feel like all of the design is very intentional. It feels like the way that things link together feels, kind of just like brilliantly, elegantly simple.
And for the progression of okay, so it's one big castle. I was gonna say I feel like with a lot of 3D platformers, you'll have one level and then there's 8 different objectives. Like Mario has that, even Shrek on Xbox has that. In each biome, I'm assuming you're looking. What's the flow? You're looking for an ability, fight the boss, move on. Are there other things to unlock? Are there I see there are these little what is that guy? That little freak? What's his name?
Yeah, this little freak.
Do they give you quests, or do you help them, or is it just flavor text?
I think they're just kind of giving. I think this is just the light touch narrative that the game is giving you. So the princess used to love having afternoon tea here, but the handmaiden has run out of her special ingredient. I guess the princess doesn't really want anybody else's tea. So even farther into the game, I'm still not 100% sure what that refers to. I don't know if my character is the handmaiden. I don't know if my character is the princess. The title of the game is obviously Pseudoregalia, so it has something to do with falsely assuming, royal, being a fake royal or something, or an imposter. So yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know if Sybil, the main character, is the princess, is pretending to be the princess, is trying to rescue the princess. But I kind of like a light touch narrative, especially in a game like this that's, I think it's 5-ish hours the whole runtime. So if a game is 100 hours, I feel like I need a little more meat on the narrative bone.
Yeah.
But at this length, I'm happy to just immerse myself in soulsy vagueness.
I know the game is $6 on Steam, which is an incredible bargain. How long is the game? Is it, for my head, was it 6 hours or how long?
5-ish is what I have heard. I played it. My other save is probably about 3.5 hours in, and I thought I was getting close to the end, and then I found did I already hit this, or do I have to hit it from a specific angle? Oh, I guess I already hit this. I found a specific item even 3.5 hours into the game, and the game was okay, you've got 1 of 5 of these now. And I was like, wait, there are crucial items in this game that I'm just getting the first one of now this far into the game. So I think it's kind of deceptively big. I think this is a small feeling game that actually has more to it than you would expect.
Well, I also like its missions. Its mission for existing is so cool. Just doing, I don't know, any game that kind of recaptures the spirit, I'm always drawn to. It's also, it's developed by, their username is the Ritzler, I believe.
Yeah.
I don't know how big their team is or what, but this is very impressive. It's so cool. I don't know, it seems like they're nailing the look, they're nailing the aesthetic. The movement looks really cool.
Yeah.
So even just having an experience in that, and maybe that's also a good thing. I feel like with a Zelda game, I'm intimidated because these seem so long.
Yeah.
But if I can get a quick hit, I mean, also, when you mentioned doing this game, it kind of reminded me of a friend got a new N64 game, and it's okay, cool, let's see what this is. Pseudoregalia. I wouldn't know how to say it.
Yeah.
Pseudoregalia.
Totally.
I don't know, a nice little weekend blockbuster game. I also hear this does work great on a Steam Deck.
Yeah.
And the music is very charming. It seems very chill.
It's really, really good. That's the best part about exploring is hearing all the banger tracks in every biome. Also, the bridge I was just on a second ago, I didn't want to interrupt you, but that bridge that I just walked out on a second ago was actually above the area we were at earlier with the bubbles. And the level design of this game is particularly brilliant because I feel like you do a lot of the game goes out of its way to make sure that you're not just walking backwards through the same environment. Instead, what you'll do is you'll emerge in what feels like a new area, and you'll quickly realize that you're 100 feet above a place that you've been before. But now you have new traversal abilities, and so it kind of does. It's like Half-Life almost, where there's verticality to the environments, and as you revisit a place with increased capabilities, it has a different feel in your mind to be back in that place. It gives you sort of, I wouldn't call it a power fantasy, but it makes it refreshing to revisit places you've already been, because now, you have new traversal. There were things earlier in the game that didn't even appear to me as puzzle related or traversable, and then as you get new traversal abilities, you're oh, I wonder if I could get up there, way at the beginning of the game. I wonder if that's a secret up there.
Yeah, that seems that makes it rewarding to keep going back to the same spot. You have new tools, so how else can you mess with it? And I don't know, I like what you said about the power fantasy thing too. It's always rewarding, again, even in a Souls game where you get destroyed by these level 2 skeletons, but then when you come back later, you can decimate them all with one stroke of your broadsword. It's yes, yeah. It's the journey. Because I see there's sliding. Do you eventually get a double jump, or I don't know why I'm transfixed on the glide.
Oh, you've asked at the perfect time, because we're about to get a new ability.
Okay.
So this right here.
Is it a library card?
It's a library card. Yeah, you can check out all those books.
Wonders?
Yeah, you can go get Catcher in the Rye. These are the Sun Greaves. So this is to me probably also check out the Sun Greaves. We actually.
Oh, I like that there's cosmetic upgrades.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So there are also purely cosmetic upgrades, like you can change Sybil's outfit and stuff. But this is I like that a lot of the actual mechanical upgrades also have a cosmetic component. So now we've got our big sexy boots on. And what these do is, this is probably the most crucial traversal ability in the game. It's a wall kick.
Oh, wow.
So now you can kick off of things 3 times currently. And the nice thing about this is, see, like, we're not supposed to go up there, so I wasn't supposed to make that. That's not on me. But
that's against the library.
Yeah, that's the library. It frowns upon wall kicking. But the nice thing about this is, in a precision platformer, I like Celeste is a good example where you have your little dash and then you can refresh the dash in certain ways, and it's kind of about like the abilities have predictable outcomes when you use them, but there is a range in how they act depending on different circumstances and your skill level. So like here, for example, I have 3 wall kicks. You can see the light is guiding me. I got to do a 1, 2, 3 thing, but because the angle of approach is important in the way that you bounce off the wall, it really is. It's not easy. It's predictable. Like I did made it. I thought I was gonna die. You really have to learn how to use these abilities and kind of work with them. It's not that they do exactly the perfect thing to get you across the gap. It's just that they empower you to learn how to use them to kind of like imperfectly overcome. So like, for example, we'll see if I make a fool out of myself here. This room kicked my ass the first time I played it. Okay, first step.
Yeah, it seems like it's getting you there just right. Like, it's not over. You're not overly confident. You still have to kind of work for these jumps.
Yeah, like that, especially like bouncing off that wall and then kind of having to redirect this way. It's real sketchy.
That's cool.
So let's see if
now, are there any? I'm curious if there's any like platforming and combat, or like are there insane boss battles that challenge you? Because I don't know why. You mentioned movement. Like, there's something about like when I'm challenged with platforming. That's why I like Tony. I like Celeste. I'm kind of like, oh yeah. The combat is definitely less of a focus as it goes on. It seems like when I fought that first boss, I thought there was going to be kind of a 1 boss per biome. That has not been my experience yet, but I do wonder if as you progress, it's going to start to be like maybe when you're wrapping up all of the biomes, each of them has a corresponding boss or something like that. But this is definitely a game that is designed as more of a precision. I almost said puzzle platformer, but it's not really a puzzle. It's more precision platformer. But that's kind of the core focus, is doing traversal and and kind of just nailing those. So definitely less of an emphasis on combat, but that's fine by me because the combat feels great, but the thing that really gets me going is like that right there. Yeah, now it just feels like parkour in a castle, which I think that's tight. I think open up castles, let people run around, cause mischief. We're getting another ability.
Okay.
What is this?
So that's like the Zelda heart container. So if you get 3 of those, you get a little health bubble up there. So yeah, kind of I feel like the design of this game sticks very true to a lot of things it feels like the things that they changed from old games in terms of their design are things that needed to be upgraded. Like, it doesn't have the jank and kind of cumbersome feel of Mario 64, but it has all of the great things about Mario 64, is kind of like bouncing off walls and doing triple jumps and whatever. But some of those elements, like finding heart containers in Zelda, I'm struggling to think of other things, but yeah, it has an old school feel, but it updates where it needs to. But it doesn't feel the need to reinvent the wheel for no reason. Like, sometimes it's fun to just get heart pieces and watch your health go up. So yeah, it's this very kind of effortless balance between old school and new school. It feels like a game that came out for the N64, but a lot of the design choices feel very contemporary and very inspired by things like Celeste and even like Hollow Knight, maybe, just in terms of environment design and making sure everything kind of, or like Dark Souls especially, like that verticality, seeing where you came from, seeing where you're going, opening shortcuts, and just like transforming the world physically, but also transforming your understanding of the world and relationship to it.
It's funny because, like, as I watch this play, my brain is tricked into thinking this really is an N64 game.
It looks like one, doesn't it?
But you're right, though. The movement seems so satisfying, and I'm interested to see. Like, right now, it's a lot of movement. I'm kind of interested to see more of the combat. I did see that, like, in addition to your main sword, you can also there's a very satisfying like physics plunge or toss with your your I don't know, melee weapon.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah, you
throw
can
it in
throw
the
it.
air. Does that also do damage, or is that just
I
for
don't know.
like?
Let's see. It does. I haven't had to use it yet, but it also does seem to cast light. I wonder if it like acts as a light at some point. There is a dark area in the game, and I didn't put 2 and 2 together, but I feel like I just solved that puzzle as we did this. So I need to go back to my real save after this and try that.
And then the other thing that always amazes me, Jeremy, is you're very much a hero in discovering these indie games. I think as of now, this game has maybe about 1,000 positive reviews on Steam. But how did you keep an eye out on this game? Where did this come from? This just launched, I think, July 28th. But yeah, how did this get on your radar?
Yeah, so I mostly just follow a bunch of indie devs on Twitter and various other platforms, just because I like their work, and also because I am an aspiring indie dev myself. So it's nice to just see what people are working on and take inspiration from that. I'm gonna try to get this key while I'm chatting and not die. Oh, so close. But so Ritzler, the dev behind this game, I love the vibe of the stuff they're working on. They've done some other kind of action platformers, precision platformers in 3D, and their aesthetic is always very restrained and kind of a really nice blend between retro and between contemporary indie games. And I just feel like that design ethos is something that reverberates through both their aesthetic and their mechanical design. So they, as an individual, have just interested me a lot as a dev. In fact, the lock screen on my phone is a screenshot from another one of their games, just because I love the way it looks. I don't know. I'm just constantly inspired by indie devs. I think there's a world in which, as I love a lot of the things that AAA games do, but in terms of games that actually get me excited, most of them are indie games for the same reason that a lot of the musicians I like are like underground musicians, independent musicians. I just think when you're smaller as an organization or as an individual, you have a certain level of agility in terms of what you're able to pull off, and you can take bigger risks. You can wear your inspiration on your sleeves, and so I think that I don't think we're going to get like a 5-hour N64 traversal Metroidvania from like Naughty Dog anytime soon. So I just think that finding independent developers that you like, following their work, supporting them, and spreading the word about the things they're working on is how we build more interesting and diverse types of experiences. I think that the more people who are making games based on their passions and their tastes and their experiences with games, the more you'll see things like this that are just like both a time capsule and kind of an innovative piece of game design that pushes things forward.
Jeremy, I couldn't say anything better than that. You got me fired up to play Pseudoregalia and also explore more. This game legitimately looks cool. I feel like I've had to play a lot of games that look like this but don't feel as good to play as it is to watch, but I want to get my hands on this. This looks amazing. And yeah, you've teased me just enough where I'm sold. I just want to skate around this castle. This is awesome.
Yeah, let's do this. I'm gonna nail this job. No, I definitely won't make this.
This rules. Check out Pseudoregalia. I'm going to check this out. Jeremy, thank you for being the indie game hero. And thank you to Ritzler for checking this out. Thank you everyone leaving Steam reviews. And also, on Ritzler's Twitter, there is so much fan art of this main character.
Oh, that does not surprise me.
So I gotta get this game and meet them and say what's up.
Yeah, Pseudoregalia. Give it a shot. It's $6. Come on. You can't scrounge around on your couch for quarters and buy this game. Let's do it.